This is not my life. These are moments in my life that have been edited, filtered, curated, and put in the order that I thought was most appealing. They're a small part of the bigger picture. If I'm being honest, I didn't want to film this today because I had a pimple. But later on, throughout this video, you'll realize that if I didn't share it, I would be a hypocrite. Technology and social media are an amazing tool. It just depends on why and how we use it. From what I've observed with friends and family, most people post about their highlights, which is great. But as humans, we don't just connect to highlights, we connect to the mistakes and struggles as well. Thus, we can fall into the trap of comparing our behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel, which is a dangerous illusion that can trick you into feeling like your life is worse than it is and leave you feeling jealous, envious, or insecure. During this video, I'm going to share with you 3 rules of thumb that have been powerful in my own life to pierce through the illusion social media and the comparing mind can make. These rules of thumb have helped me appreciate the day-to-day so much more, and I hope they have the same effect on you. I'm going to illustrate the first point through a trip my cousin and I went on to the Flinders Ranges in South Australia. During this, I'm going to show you 2 different versions of the same story. Version 1, the highlight reel. That looked like an awesome time, if I say so myself. Flying, beautiful scenery, lots of laughs. Now on to version 2, behind the scenes.
We're actually going to struggle. We're in real trouble.
First of all, my cousin Callum and I didn't even plan to go to the Flinders Ranges. We planned to go snowboarding. However, I couldn't afford it at the time, so we replanned for us to go camping. Our replanned tour was going to be a tour around the South Australian outback. This was going to include Wilpena Pound, Lake Eyre and Cooper Pedy. Our food was going to consist mostly of beans, badly cooked pasta and bread. We have conquered it, we have colonized it. The first night was a mess. We spent way longer than anticipated setting up the campsite because we thought we could start the fire without any kindling. We also thought we could set up the tent without reading the instructions. However, we ended up reading the instructions, and when we did, we felt like our manliness meters dropped down a few notches. We then proceeded to overcook the pasta until it looked like sadza. The next day we went for a beautiful hike up Wilpena Pound and enjoyed some succulent sandwiches at the top. After we got back, I went to unlock the car. The lights hardly flashed, which was weird. Callum went to turn on the engine and it just went chick, chick. It was a very stress-inducing sound as the nearest station was 55 kilometers away. We asked other campers nearby if they could jumpstart the car. They tried, but nothing happened. Callum then phoned the roadside assist, and we thought the car was insured for this, but it wasn't, so we had to pay. And by we, I mean I still owe Callum money. I will pay you, bud. The RAA said they could only come the next morning at 11 AM. This was an issue as we had booked a 30-minute flight over Wilpena Pound the next day at 7 AM, and there were 2 Wilpena Pound airstrips. One was a 30-minute walk and the other was around a 10-hour one. We hoped like hell it was the former.
We woke up this morning and we started walking for day 3. We had to get RAA.
So, that is that.
Light-hearted response you wanted.
We woke up at 5 AM the next morning and weren't necessarily happy campers. We walked and got to the airstrip 30 minutes away and no one was there. It was now 7:15 and still no one was there. Callum and I were very disappointed as we thought we were at the wrong airstrip. However, suddenly a shuttle bus appeared and we were told that our flight had been delayed by an hour. Extremely relieved by this turn of events, we then thoroughly enjoyed the flight over Walpena Pound, which looked like an asteroid had crashed into it from above.
I'm just praying to God that they just fix it in like 20 minutes at the place, and then we just drive home.
So you don't want to go to Lake Eyre now?
No, we're not going. Go home. We're looking forward to a nice warm house.
Hopefully they hop started. When we got back to camp, the RAA guy met us and said that the car battery was dead and needed to be replaced. Thankfully, Callum paid for the battery and thanked the man with a bottle of wine. I asked the man if we could go to Lake Eyre and Cooper Pedy. He looked at me as if I was stupid and had a light-hearted laugh. He said if we went on to Lake Eyre, we'd likely get stuck due to rain. So Callum and I decided to head back to Adelaide. A week was cut back to 3 days.
Oh, wave, you knob! Always make friends on the road.
Behind the scenes revealed a far less glamorous trip than I bet you initially expected. The point I'm making between version 1 and 2 is our mind can quickly spin something and make it seem better or worse than it really is. Your mind can leave you feeling jealous of an illusion, as missing out on beans, suds of pasta, 5 hours of sleep, and being in debt to your cousin you could probably do without. So the first point I'm making is a useful pattern interrupt. What is the story I'm telling myself, and how do I know it's true? This can make you aware of the comparing mind and pierce through the illusion you may have bought into. Rule of thumb 2. You are your biggest competition. It is important and necessary for us to compare things, as it's how we find out what we like and dislike, or how we make decisions. We can learn from others who have achieved more in a certain area or gain inspiration from their success. The danger comes when we start comparing our entire selves to a moment of success that a person has had. As if we hope to feel good about ourselves only when we are better than someone, we're not going to feel good a lot of the time. As there's a very high likelihood there is someone better than you at a certain skill, better looking, more money, etc. Competition is good and can be very fun when it's coming from the right place and channeled in the right direction. If not, it can be destructive. A quote I love by Ray and that sums this up perfectly for me is, "The biggest competition is myself. I'm not looking to follow others or pull them down, I'm looking to test my own boundaries." Please carry on. You're an influencer.
Oh, huge, you know, massive. I don't live for the likes, I live to influence. So I might only get, what, like, my best has been 20 likes on Instagram. But I think I've influenced enough people that they don't have to like it. Done.
And finally, rule of thumb number 3. Everyone has an internal battle of some type, and we can try to understand and we can try to empathize, but we can't wake up and live that person's life day to day. So to know someone's entire being is nearly impossible, as I'm still trying to figure out mine, and I'm sure you're still trying to figure out yours. After school, I decided to give a pipe dream I had of becoming a professional tennis player everything I had. I trained full-time and did my best. However, I've been injured 6 times in the last 2 years, which has been challenging, with painful, disappointing, and very frustrating moments in between. I'm not saying this for you to feel sorry for me, as I've already done enough of that for myself. I'm saying this to give you a more in-depth version as to what goes on behind the scenes. Even though this has been a really challenging time, I've realized that my dream and vision for my future has changed, which has been a major gift in disguise. And I've realized that if you look for the gift amongst the perceived storm, you will likely find it. If you don't, you can keep repeating the same patterns and repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Throughout this video, Callum was wearing Livin shirts. Livin aims to break the stigma of mental health, as just as our bodies get injured, so can our minds. However, when our bodies are injured, there isn't this huge stigma or shame around it. with 1 in 5 people experiencing a mental illness every year. True connection is one of the best antidotes to it. It comes from being honest and open, sharing the highs and the lows with the people we care about in our lives. Every purchase made goes back into raising awareness for mental health and suicide prevention initiatives. I'm definitely not a mental health expert, but if you are struggling, just remember you are not alone. And if you think you are broken, you're not. You may just have a set of broken behaviors. There is a difference. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, uncover your truth.